Okay. All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Woodlands Yoga Studio. I'm Sue. I'm the owner, in case you don't know. A lot of you do know me. And this morning I thought I would work on our backs. Because I don't know about you, but I'm sure you've been sitting a lot. I know I have, even though I've also been working out a lot. My mornings tend to be really heavy workouts, but then in the afternoon I start to get on the computer and I just get sucked in, whether I'm watching videos or on social media, or I'm working on preparing for us to open. I think I spent like 3 hours yesterday on the computer writing up new liability waivers and policies and procedures and all those kind of great things that you don't even care about. Well, maybe you do. And I go to get up and my hips hurt, my shoulders hurt, that kind of thing. And I had done a workshop with Desiree Rumbaugh on Sunday. And after the workshop, I felt so great. I thought, oh my God, my back doesn't hurt, my shoulders don't hurt. So this morning I thought we would incorporate some of those moves and along with some of my favorite moves and see if we can't release the back. Now I will say this, a lot of students come in to the studio and they'll say, I have back issues, my back hurts. And they'll point to a certain section. And through all my experience, what I've also noticed is that it sometimes is the back, but it also can be above and below the back. It can be legs, it can be neck, whatever. So we kind of got to go through, it could be the front of the body, front line of the body, as opposed to the back line. So we're going to work all those issues today. So take a nice, comfortable seat. Draw your sit bones back, place your hands on your thighs, and allow your elbows to just dangle. As you close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, let all the stress and anxiety melt away. Do this a couple more times. Each time you draw in, feel a new sense of energy. When you exhale, feel a release. One more time. And then return your breath back to normal. And drop your right ear over to your right shoulder. Just allow the gravity of your head to pull it closer. And then inhale, bring the head up, and allow the left ear to move more closely towards the left shoulder. You might even give a little stretch to the right shoulder and draw it down. And then inhale, come back to center. Let's go back to the right again. And this time, bring the right hand up to the left temple. Push the left temple into your hand. Have the hand resist and see if you can stretch a little more. Gently draw your left shoulder down towards the earth. And then softly release and return your right hand to your thigh. Bring your left ear over to your left shoulder. Bring the left hand up to the right temple. Now push that right temple up into the hand. Have the hand resist, and then draw that right shoulder down. Inhale and come back to center. Good. Come off of your blanket if you're on it. And oh, by the way, have a couple blocks handy and a belt if you can. If you don't have blocks, you can use books. But move your blanket out of the way and come onto your backs for a moment. Bend your knees and place your feet on the floor. One of the things I like to do is to kind of scooch and catch my sacrum on the sticky mat. So I get a little bit of traction here in my lumbar. And then I start to crab walk my spine longer. As I catch that sacrum, then I can kind of wiggle back and forth and find a length, and even use the back of your arms to pull the upper part of the torso away from that sacrum as it is tractioning onto the mat. And from here, we're going to begin with a little pelvic tilt. So I loved how Desiree described this, is that your pubic bone is 12 o'clock and your navel is 6 o'clock. So draw 12 o'clock or the pubic bone towards you. And then exhale, push the navel towards the pubic bone. So in all general purposes, keep going, we call these pelvic tilts. So notice as you just move and rock back and forth, you're giving your lower lumbar and sacrum a bit of a massage. And notice maybe some of those vertebrae are moving in a clump. Can you get that vertebrae or that lumbar to roll one vertebrae at a time? Couple more pelvic tilts. And then gently release and pick up your knees. Place your hands behind your knees for a moment for a little happy baby. Let the knees separate to a natural distance. And then remove your hands and place them on the knees. And begin to circle the knees in a clockwise motion. So now we're actually putting pressure all around the sacrum. And then reverse that and go in the opposite direction. And then come back to neutral and just let your knees go towards the front of your mat. Your arms will straighten and it's almost like a tension bridge. Your legs are just kind of hanging out there. That if I let go of my legs, they would flop. But I'm holding on to them so that I get a little bit of suspension. And notice how your 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock are now in a neutral position in one level line. Gently release, put your feet on the floor. Now, a lot of times we talk about bringing our navel to the spine. In my classes, I tend to talk about actually taking the inside edges of the pelvis and drawing them towards the midline to create that core connection, a bit of a bracing, so to speak. So drawing in, my lower back comes closer to the earth, engaging that core. See if you can pick your knees up again and maintain that connection, that bracing, or place the knees down and bring your hands behind your head and just lift your head barely an inch off the ground as you keep that connection. And notice I can speak. I'm not cutting off my diaphragm,
but I'm connecting to my core and bracing. Exhale and release down. Lean your knees against each other. Move the feet slightly wider. In fact, take them even wider now and the hands out to the sides. I've got my feet almost off of my mat. And take your knees over to the right. So now your left leg is a strong internal rotation and your right leg is a strong outer or external rotation. Move the left foot out a little more and see if you can get a stronger internal rotation. So that's the side we're trying to stretch. The one that's externally rotated, we're just letting that go for a while. See if you can draw that left thigh back and get a deeper stretch along what's called the psoas or the iliopsoas. And you can lift your left arm up over your head and reach to the wall behind you. And if you're really wanting more, you can take your right hand and stretch. And try to draw that left knee down and see if you can get a deeper stretch into that psoas or iliopsoas muscle. And then slowly release. Flip over to the opposite direction. The right knee comes into an internal rotation. Left leg goes to the side externally. Then walk that right foot wide enough so that you can get a nice internal rotation. Take your left hand and grab onto your right wrist. As you draw your right knee down, maybe engage those pelvic muscles a little more and stretch. And in case you didn't know, as you're stretching, the psoas muscle is the only muscle in our body that connects the lower half to the upper half and front to back. It's a very important muscle. And gently release. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug one more time. Place your feet on the floor. Pick your right heel up from the inside with your hand. Let your left foot go wider and begin to pump this right thigh down. So you want to maintain a right angle in your right leg. It's not a windshield wiper. I'm maintaining that right angle as I try to pump that down. And I'm just going to hold it down. Now notice if your left hip is coming up and kind of hijacked. See if you can roll that outer left hip down a little bit more. You'll see that it actually prevents you from lowering your thigh. It might come up a little more, but that's a good thing. We're keeping the hips in the alignment. Good. Now bring your left foot back to midline as you bring your right ankle on top of your left thigh. We're going to take the hands out of the equation here so you can take them over your head and intertwine your wrists. Activating your legs, lift your left leg up. Both legs are at a 90-degree angle, so push your right ankle bone into your left thigh. Have your left thigh resist. So these are active energies. This is why I'm taking the hands out. A lot of times when people use their hands, their legs are just quite passive. I'm really working that left leg into that right ankle. And at the same time, I'm trying to move the right thigh away from me, or giving that thigh bone a stronger external rotation. Then gently place your left foot on the floor. Keep the right ankle on the left thigh, and you're just going to roll towards the left until your right foot is on the floor. And you can open your arms up a little bit here if you want, or you can maintain them in a rack position, or you can take your left hand and push it against your right thigh. So now we're going to get into some of this area out in here. There's a lot of muscles that come here to the side, and if you've been sitting a lot, you might find this area quite sensitive, I guess would be the word. And gently bring that knee back up. Place the soles of the feet together and allow the knees to fall apart into a supine Baddha Konasana. And you can walk your shoulders back towards the back of your mat a little more and lengthen through the back. And allow the groins just to release. And then slowly pick the knees up, place both feet on the floor. Bring the left ankle bone on top of the right thigh. Take your hands over your head one more time. Pick your right knee up and press it into the left ankle. At the same time, try to externally rotate that left thigh bone away from you. Feet are activated. Toes are spread nice and wide. So the more energy you push with your right thigh, you just may feel a deeper stretch on the outer edge of your left glute. And then gently bring your right foot down. As you turn towards the right, the left sole of the foot comes down to the earth. Take your right hand to your left inner thigh and push that away from you. And slowly release. Bring the soles of the feet together again. One more supine Baddha Konasana. As you lift your fingers to the sky, draw the shoulders down. Take your hands over your head and actually do a bigger arch in your lower back. So now I'm tipping my clock. My 12 o'clock or pubic bone is actually drawing down and towards my heels. And gently release. Good job, everybody. So one of the things that I have found that helps me is a psoas release. So grab your blocks, both of them. So there's a yogi, a very famous yogi by the name of Donna Farhi, and she just wrote a big article about how dangerous it is to place a block on your sacrum, that it's actually better to use 2 blocks on your SI joints. So grab your blocks, place your feet in front of your sit bones, lift your hips, and slide the blocks underneath so that they're on the SI joints and the sacrum is free to kind of float in between. Now, lengthen both legs. And if you don't feel a stretch, you could come down and turn your blocks up 1 notch. But for me, I'm happy with this lower height of my block at the moment because we're kind of working up towards stretching lots of different parts of our body. So just here, now I can bring my shoulders underneath a little more, lifting my heart, tucking them under. Now I'm getting a bigger stretch in my iliopsoas muscle. So I want you to think about this. If you're sitting a lot, especially at a computer or on your laptop, the lower part of your psoas is always in a contracted position. And the end of the psoas, which attaches back up here to the spine, is always in an extended. So if you sit a lot, this is what you're doing with that muscle. So now we're actually doing the opposite. We're extending through the lower part and contracting through the upper part. So we're reversing so that the muscle will come back to a normal position. And And then gently release. Lift your hips up. Remove the blocks for a moment. And just pause here and notice how the pelvic area feels. Right now it should be a little bit on a neutral position. Great. So now we're going to take our blocks again. And I should probably sit up for this because what we're going to do is a glute stretch. So I'm going to place the block so that the edge, the corner of the block is going to be right into the meaty part of my glute. It's not going to be on a bone. So coming down onto my back, I'm going to lift up. I'm going to slide each block, the corner of the block, right into that meaty part of my buttocks. This is a glute stretch. So the blocks are not on the sacrum, they're on the fleshy part. And what we're actually accessing is the opposing muscle, and that is the piriformis. The piriformis runs east to west, off of the sacrum and around to the outer edges of your hips, where the psoas runs north and south. Now you may feel this is just enough for you. This can be, if you've never done this, you're probably going, ow, this really hurts. See if you can kind of breathe into it and release and let your buttocks sink a little lower. Those of you who have done this before, you might want to lift one leg up and maybe circle it around and finding how that one buttock feels. And then you may put that foot down. I think the first time we did this was in a workshop with Gioconda Parker. And I was like, oh my God, this is killing me. But now I find that this is, when my back hurts, this is one of the major things I do. Or maybe you can lift up both of the feet and just kind of float those edges of the blocks right into the buttocks. They should not be on any bones. You're into the muscle, into the flesh, shall we say. And then gently, if you have your feet in the air, you can place them on the floor, remove your blocks, and just lower down for a moment and see how that feels. Maybe draw your knees into your chest. Notice, did the knees come up easier? Do the buttocks feel a little more spacious? And then gently release, and you can place your hands. Oh, I forgot to do this. Okay. We're going to, oh wait, let me look at my sequence one more time. We're going to rock up for a moment and put the feet on the floor. Take your left hand to the outside edge of your right foot and pick your right leg up, bent, 90-degree angle. Right hand behind you. Now push in, lift up. Don't straighten the leg. Keep it at a 90-degree angle, but press. And as you press, round your back. And gently release, put that foot on the floor, reach the right hand over, pick the right foot up. As you begin to press round your back, press, press, press into that foot. Almost straightening it, but not quite, and gently release. Let's try that again. Bring the left hand over, pick the right foot up. As you press away, you can round your back. Feel a deep stretch down the left side. We're now getting into some traps and rhomboids here. Gently release. One more time, come over. Press that foot. Hand resists. Back rounds. The more the foot pushes away, the more the arm reaches. And release. You like that? Okay, now we're going to do another one from Desiree. I learned this from her almost 10 years ago. It's the QL release. QL stands for quadratus lumborum, which is the muscle that runs between your rib cage and your pelvis. Of course, your anatomy geeks, don't kill me. I do generalities. Okay, now this is really interesting. So I'm going to come down to bridge, but when I do, I'm going to slide the block in here. Again, the edge of the block is going to catch right to the right of the spine. I'm not on my spine. I'm on the fleshy part. I'm not on my ribs. I'm right below the ribs. And when I do that, lift up, press that block edge right there and I catch. You'll feel it. There's like a fleshy area. And I'm just going to catch and traction that flesh away from the spine. Now my left hip is off the floor, but as gravity takes over, it's going to move down to the floor. So go ahead and try this. And again, you might find this a little sensitive. And this is one of my big go-tos. The QL can be a real culprit in back pains, especially if you're rounded a lot over a computer. So as I'm slowly, like an inchworm, sliding off the edge of that block, my left hip is just kind of like kissing the floor a little bit. Keep breathing into it. And then once that left hip touches the floor, slightly roll to your left and remove the block and come back to a neutral position and notice the length on your right side. And you may have to even crab walk your shoulders more towards the back of the wall behind you to get more length on that right side. Does it feel lower to the earth? Does it feel like it has less tension? Those are the things you have to ask. So now we got to do the other side, because I don't know about you, but my left side actually feels an inch shorter. Yeah. So I'm going to lift up, slide that edge of the block, and I catch it right kind of where your kidneys are. Not on the rib cage, not on the pelvis. And you catch that meaty part and you just traction away from the spine. And you might find one side is a little more sensitive. And that right hip will kind of dangle in the air. Sometimes I'll even lift the balls of my feet and I'm kind of balancing on my heels a little bit because I can be a little sadistic with my back and I can kind of push into that corner a little more and grab it and try to pull it out a little more. And then gently sliding all the way down, removing the block, and noticing again how you have to pick up your shoulders and lengthen the back. Pause here for a moment. And do you feel more space between your pelvis and your rib cage? Excellent. Roll to your right side and go ahead and come on up. Now, those of you who take class here at the Woodlands Yoga Studio know this next one. It's called a quad smasher. And I gotta tell you, I got a couple people here behind the camera today, and they're all making faces at me. So, we're gonna take the block, and notice it's on its tallest height, and I've got it so that it's not long ways, but it's in a lateral position. I'm gonna bring my left knee forward, almost like I'm doing a low lunge, or slightly like a pigeon, and I'm going to place this block right across the base of the quad, but above the knee. So you want it to the point to where your foot hangs off the block, that the foot does not touch the earth. So why would the quads affect our backs? Well, if the quad is tight, it contracts the front line of the body, which then tends to make the back line of the body round. And if the back line of the body is rounded, that is going to always be in a position that is going to cause pain if you're walking around with a rounded back. Now, if this is just too easy for you, you can begin to bend your knee. Up and down. Some people even like to rock on the block as they bend the knee. And again, I want to say the first time I did this, I almost cried. Silka's here with me. Silka.
I'm crying.
You're crying. She's crying. Well, we did all those standing poses yesterday in your class, so.
So that's why. Right?
Yes, I'm getting you back. And we can do a little lateral movement with our leg. We can let the foot go out to the side, and then we can bring it all the way back in. And then gently release, remove the block, and walk your knees back and tuck your toes for a moment and sit back into Thunderbolt. Do you notice a difference? Big time. Yeah. Come forward again. This time take your right knee forward, place the block in that position on the left thigh. Come on down to your elbows. Adjust wherever you need it to be. Just let that foot drape over that block for a moment. And then begin to bend and rock, bend, and rock. Maybe some lateral movement. And then slowly come back one more time.
and sit into. And notice, do the quads feel a little better? I hope you all are looking to get some great props for yourself. A good set of cork blocks are a must. And one of the best websites I've found for pricing and delivery is Sunshine Yoga, sunshineyoga.com. So now we're going to do one of my favorite moves, lizard. But I like to call it lizard on a rock. So I'm going to place the block at the right corner of my mat and bring my right foot on top of the block. That's why I call it lizard on a rock. Take the other block and put your left hand underneath it. So I've got more of a widening so that if this is 12 o'clock, my right foot is past 1 o'clock, more towards 2. Not quite to 2. Yeah, mine's kind of at 2 because there's 3. 1, 2, 3, okay, all right. So now we're going for a nice deeper stretch in this psoas. Now, a lot of us bendy people like moi can just hang out. We're happy. This is not a good thing. I've learned that from experience. So I have to actually engage my core and engage my glute to protect that psoas as I stretch it. Then lift up and shift back. You can scoochie your heel forward and take your left hand over to the outer edge of your right foot. Right hand holds you up. Now, before we do anything, engage the core and pull the kneecap up into the core of the pelvis. So now I've got a little softness behind the knee. Lift up with your heart. Draw your left hip back. Your right hip goes under as you encourage the belly of the hamstring here towards the earth. So I'm not aggravating the attachment back there at the glute. I'm really focusing on the center of that hamstring, yes? And at the same time, now draw your left hip back and pull your left hand forward, and you might even get a deeper stretch along the upper back on the left side while you continue to stretch the right hamstring. I hope that makes perfect sense. And gently release. You can jump switch if you like. I will just walk. Place your left foot on top of the left block. Again, turning it out really past 11, more towards 10. So what we're doing is trying to get a nice external rotation in this front thigh. I also like to untuck my back toes. This is another chance to stretch the top of the back foot. I love poses that I call twofers. In other words, I get 2 or 3 things out of just doing one pose. So press in, engage the core, engage your right glute, but at the same time, lift your heart and sternum. Roll your left sit bone under towards your tailbone. And then gently shift back. Scoot that foot forward on the block. Lower your left hand to the earth and bring your right hand over to the outside edge of your left foot. So I'm going to draw this kneecap, left kneecap, up into the core of the pelvis. As you lift, lengthen, and start to hinge forward. Then I'm going to start to round and draw the right hip back, but at the same time maintain the energy in the left leg so that the left hamstring moves towards the floor without losing the engagement in the quad.
I know it's a lot to think about. And gently release. Oh, so good. So come around into all fours. And if you're like me, the kneecaps have gotten sensitive in my old age. And I just want a little extra padding here on my knees. I like to spread my hands out slightly wider. And of course, we can all begin with a little cat-cow, but lately I have found my back wants more. So shift your hips to your left, push in with your left hand. And then swing the hips forward and around to the right and push into your right hand. Swing the hips forward, making a semicircle over to the left. Swing back over to the right. And then come back to neutral and move in any way that feels good to your back. And when you're ready, come forward all the way down onto the earth. And prop yourself up for Sphinx. So the arms are at parallel distance, in line with the shoulders. Toes are uncurled, the top of the feet onto the mat. Then engage your core, again drawing the inner muscles of the pelvis towards the midline. Engage and pull your rib cage away from your pelvis. So now you're giving yourself lumbar traction from the front side. We did it from the back side when we caught our sacrum on the mat and kind of lengthened. And then gently release. Lift yourself up. Walk your hands back. And come onto the balls of your feet. And then a shift into Malasana. Grab the edges of your mat and pull forward. This allows me to lower and lengthen through that back even more. And gently release. Lift your hips. Bring your shoulders onto your backs and come on up. Ah. Yes, yes. So one of the favorites that I learned from Trina Altman was to do Garu Crescent. Well, what does that mean, Sue? Well, we're going to take our right arm underneath into eagle arms. Garu is eagle. And I'm going to let you pick what stance. Do you like your feet hip distance apart, or do you want to bring your feet together? It's up to you. So we're going to move our elbows over to the right, and then bring our chin down. Just hold it there. Engage your core. Try to lift and lengthen through the spine, but then draw the hands down a little more. Bring the hands towards the front. Let your head just release. Shoulders actually round. Bring the hands over to the left. Let your chin tuck into your left collarbone. Then bring the hands all the way back up and to center. Undo your arms. Bring the left arm underneath and wrap it around. Come back the way we came. So come over to the left. Tuck that shoulder or chin down to the shoulder blade, or collarbone, excuse me. And just hold there for a moment. Draw the shoulders back a little more and see if you can get a little more length
along in the scalings of your neck. Then bring it to center and allow the head to release. Tuck your elbows in towards your sternum. Then move over to the right. Chin tucks down. Left shoulder draws back. Inhale and come up. And release. Yes, good. All right, we're going to come back down one more time. Going for full fire toes, Vavarajasana. Now, I don't know about you, but I have tiny toes. I've seen people that have beautiful long toes. I don't. And so I have to reach around and pull that little toe out. Because arthritis starts on our toes, and we need to do this every day. My big toe on my right foot is starting to get arthritis, and there's some days when I put my dance shoes on, I'm thinking, oh, I'm not going to get through today. But then I find that once I start to move it, it feels better. So that's the vicious circle of arthritis, that we feel the pain and we say, oh, we're not going to move because it hurts. And then if we don't move, it gets worse. So you have to move through the arthritis. You have to lubricate the joint. Yeah. And gently release. Shift over to the side and bring your feet forward. Now, if you are one that tends to sit tucked under, sit up on a blanket. Place your feet out in front of you and roll the fascia of your legs inward. So here we sit in Dandasana. Now you should have an arch in your low back. Watch this. Think of our 6 and 12 o'clock. So if our 12 is up, then we're tucked under. So we have to draw that 12 o'clock back. And now the floor of the pelvis is parallel to the earth. Good. Place your hand behind your right thigh and draw it back. Place the foot. So we've been doing this. This is our third time we're going to do this. We're going to take our right hand out here. First, take that back. Pull the left sit bone back. Left hand to the side. Right hand reaches the foot or to the ankle. Now, if you can't reach, grab a belt. Then lift up. That's the thing. If we round, we're actually shortening our stretch. So we want this length and lift. Sit bones move to the back. This left hand is pushing forward. As you begin to round, bring your right temple towards your left knee. Elbows move out to the side. Really pull. And now we're going to round again. Press the right foot into the left straight leg. Hug the left straight leg into the right foot. Can you lift the torso, lengthen, and even bend the elbows more? So now you might feel the stretch a little deeper into the back right side. Inhale and release. Bring the ankle on top for figure 4. Lean back like you're at the beach. Pull the left foot in. Walk the hands in until you are vertical. So can you go to here and be fine? That's good, yes. Can you maybe draw it in just a little? That works. Okay. See if you can lift through the sternum a little more. Yes. Yes. Or come all the way up. Now, feet are active. Legs are active. Pushing through the mounds of the big toes. See if you can externally rotate. This guy, if it's up to here like this, maybe you're here and you're just taking your hand and finding an external rotation right here in the right thigh. Now, crab walk your left foot over and come into fire walk. Show you a little modification. So if you've got what we call the hijack knee, take your block and put it in front of your down knee so that the foot can go on the block. So what that is that the groin muscles are so tight, they're not letting go. They're up here like this. This is our fight or flight muscle. So by putting the foot on the block, you're sending a signal to the brain that says, it's okay. And what we're basically looking for is this knee to try to lower against this pelvic bone. And you can stay right here. Press the feet out firmly. In fact, take your fingers, thumbs to your heels, index fingers to the mound of the big toe, and press outward. So take your hands behind. Yeah, there I know. Good, good, good. Now you can stay there, or if you want to join me, hinge forward with your hands. And any of you who have a cat know what kneading is, yes. They need. I know Silk has got a cat. She and I have exchanged cat pictures. Yes. To me, this is one of the best hip stretchers that we have and can do. And I really recommend that you do it every day. And Irina, if you're out there, I'm thinking about you every day. And then gently release and come on up and extend the legs out and shake it out. So hand comes behind left leg and you pull it in. Draw this right sit bone back. So I'm physically moving that sit bone back an inch. Right hand to the side as I reach to the left foot or ankle or even calf. That's fine. Press in. This overhand over here is very important. It gives me lift as I press in, lengthen, and then I'm going to rotate my left temple towards my right knee. Now this is my tighter side. And so I have to really continue to work and draw the right hip back, left shoulder, left temple forward. Use my left hand to pull, and at the same time, I've got to engage that right leg, particularly the right kneecap, and pull it up towards the pelvis. Ooh, I just got a great pop. Oh. Or shall I say adjustment. Yeah. And then slowly come up. Lift that leg on top and just sit up for a moment. Yeah, good. If you can lean back, draw the knee in. Yeah. Other leg. Okay, there you go. Good, good, good. Ah, there we go. Now, if you're really tight, you can do a little rocky. Yeah, and when you rock, draw that knee, or push that knee forward, I should say. Draw means to come in. And I'm actually pushing that knee away so I get an external rotation on that left thigh. Then maybe I can bring the knee a little closer and it doesn't hurt as much. Did that help a little bit? There we go. You know, remember when Robert Bustani was here? One of the big aha moments for me was how he says to get into the pose, or sort of get into the pose, and start to gently rock and repeat and repeat. And then you can go a little deeper, and instead of just, oh, take a deep breath, go deep into the pose. And I've been kind of working with that and seeing, okay, there's some real truth there. Yeah. Then crab walk that right foot over. Bring it underneath, and we have so many great instructors coming up. It looks like Christina Sell will be here in July. I've exchanged emails with her, and draw your sit bones back, lift up nice and tall. So maybe this is all where you're at on your Agni Stambhasana. Push those feet apart, and then maybe come forward like you're leaning out over the edge of a cliff. And if you can, bring one hand forward and the other hand forward. You can start to knead a little bit, or bring your elbows down. You pick the bus stop you want to get off at. And gently release. Undo your legs. And come onto your backs. Have your belt handy. You may need it. So one of the movements that I've learned is called string of pearls. And it's basically, you start with your pelvic tilt and lift up into an articulated bridge, and then begin to roll down one vertebrae at a time. So I put this string of pearls in here at the end, so maybe you can now get a little more articulation as you roll down. Now, if this feels too easy for you, you can make your pearls bigger in that you can flip up and over and start to roll down one vertebrae at a time all the way down until you lower your legs. And then draw them in and come up. And rolling slowly, slowly, slowly. I have to use my hands to control. Bring the feet down one more time. And the feet to the earth. Let's do a little Apanasana here where we draw the knee into the chest. Straighten the leg. Place your hands behind the thigh. Straighten the bottom leg out. Lift the bottom leg so that it hovers as you lift your head and shoulders. Bring the hands up towards the ankle bone. Let the armpits hollow. And then lower down, bring the leg with you as you lower your left leg down. And then release your right leg. And let your hands come over your head. Feel the length on the left side of your body. Then draw your left leg in. Hands behind the knee. Straighten that leg towards the sky by pushing into the heel. Lift your right leg off the floor. Let it hover. Lift your head and shoulders and slide your hands up. Bring your head towards your knee. Elbows move wide, armpits hollow. And as you exhale, lower down. And then lower that right leg, holding on to that left. And gently release. Bring your hands around by your sides. Let your legs be slightly wider than your hips. Close your eyes and settle in for Shavasana. Soften the skin on your face, around your eyes, nose, and mouth. Release any tension in your jaw. Let the teeth part. Let the tongue rest.
Let your eyes move even deeper down to your sockets. And then move your gaze to deep within your heart. Ride the wave of your breath. Shavasana. Keep your eyes closed as you begin to bring breath back into your body, life into your toes and your fingers, into your feet, into your hands, into your legs and into your arms. Lift your hands and arms up over your head and take a nice long stretch. Slowly draw everything into your heart and roll either to your right or left side. Pause here for a moment, staying close to the earth. And then slowly roll even deeper as you come up and around to a seated position. Bring the soles of your palms together one last time. I want to thank you all for joining us, whether it's live this morning or later out on YouTube. And remember, we have a PayPal button for those who would like to donate to help cover our expenses here at the studio, so we can continue to bring you these live classes until we reopen. But know that I'm thinking about all of you, and I send my love and light to you. Namaste.